Hi, I'm Shelley Samone, and this is She's Arrived, a journey of self discovery. But this isn't just small talk. Here, we go deep with stories and conversations with people who have found their thing and through it have stepped into their calling. Hey, it's Shelley. You've picked up the call. Good. I hope you didn't underestimate the cost, but if you did, just know it happens to the best of us. Imagine you return home after being on a journey worldwide. You step off your flight and make your way to the first checkpoint. You scan your passport. The photo, name, and place of birth all match the identity they have on record, but you're not the same person you were when you left. Immersing yourself in different cultures challenged everything you thought you knew about yourself, your beliefs, and values. You grab your luggage and head for the exit, but you're stopped by customs. They tell you to step aside. Confident there must be some sort of mistake, you do. They ask to search your luggage. It feels like an invasion of privacy, but you try not to take it personal until they reach for your carry on. Their eyes squint, scrutinizing the gifts you have inside your carry on bag. They ask where you picked up the gifts. You can't wait to tell them about the places you've experienced: New York, Paris, Shanghai. But before you can explain, they interrupt and ask for the total value, including gifts for someone else. You hand over your receipts and answer, priceless. They can't deny it all adds up, so they go over the regulations. Your gifts exceed the limit for personal allowance. There is a cost for carrying them out. The direction you take determines if you simply pay duties or if you'll be taxed. I don't know about you, but the surest way for me to tell I'm headed in the wrong direction is by what it costs me. Duties are the requirements for carrying out the call, but getting taxed is the unnecessary price we pay. At the beginning of my journey of self discovery, I realized my thing is expressing myself through words, but my calling is to tell my story. From the start, my duty was clear: return to school to gain the knowledge and skills to carry out the call. This led me to travel the world while earning my degree in psychology and creative writing. My journey lasted 10 years before I was able to look back over my experiences and see what story was mine to tell. It took a few more years to understand why. If you've discovered your calling but aren't clear on which avenue to take to carry it out, then, like me, you've probably been taxed a few times. Let me tell you, I started off sharing my travel experiences, but once I realized I was meant to share my journey of self discovery, I was inspired to return to my birthplace. I didn't just move back to the United States. I actually moved to the very two-story Greystone I lived for the first 5 years of my life on the west side of Chicago. The building was purchased right around the time I was born, so it's been in my family a little over 45 years now. Everybody I knew who grew up on the west side of Chicago, my family, friends, even people who never left the neighborhood, told me not to go back. Listen, I lived in New York 8 years and loved every minute of it. So, places where the trash is everywhere but the garbage cans and the rats outnumber the squirrels aren't a deal breaker for me. I had spent 10 years traveling the world, so I knew the best way for me to gain a deeper understanding of where my story began was to immerse myself in the experience. If you've ever been exposed to foreign cultures and customs, then you know the cost is culture shock. It comes with the territory. But in a neighborhood where your ear has to be trained to know the difference between a firecracker, a tire backfiring, and gunshots, there is a heavier price to pay for real world experience. I had become accustomed to taking 2-hour walks throughout my neighborhood a few times a week just to get some fresh air and exercise. But with drug addicts folded over on fentanyl and the constant arguments that eventually escalated, my outdoor recreation became limited to my backyard. The back of the building also seemed like the safest place for me to park my car until one night, a guy walking down the alley spotted me. He thought since he grew up around my family, it was okay for him to walk up on me. After that incident, I started parking in the front, but that didn't bring me peace of mind because people would drive down the block so recklessly, they would crash into parked cars. And while I'm talking about cars, my neighbors love to sit in their cars and play their music. This would start as early as 2 p.m. and often ended as late as 2 a.m. The music would be so loud, my walls would vibrate. I moved out in less than a year. Today, I live in the South Loop of downtown Chicago, and my car is parked in the garage. There's a path within walking distance called Lakefront Trail, where I take my 2-hour walks along the water. I also like hanging out on the rooftop with a book or my laptop and a glass of wine. But there's also a fitness center, so during the winter, when it's too cold to be outside, I can go walk on the treadmill. The area I live in is called Printers Row, with the historical publishing houses and bookstores and the Harold Washington Library, my absolute favorite landmark in the world, right on the edge. I took it as a sign. This is where I'm meant to be. But what truly connects me to the South Loop is that it's the same neighborhood where I lived when I first set out on my journey of self-discovery. The story I'm meant to tell doesn't start at my birthplace. It starts at the place where I answered the call. Now my duty is to arrive at a state of alignment so I can move forward in the right direction. This season is all about the currencies life demands to carry out the call. And I'm willing to pay the cost because I am sick and tired of being taxed.